Well, good day, good day, good day, good day, everyone. And welcome once again to All for Success with an X. Of course, that means that we've got everything we have to say about supporting the Sussex family. Plus, every now and then we throw in a couple of current events. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I am so glad for all of you who could tune in for a few moments to listen to my thoughts and my analysis. And every now and then I'll throw in my own commentary and maybe a little bit of current events. As we are all getting ready for the morning, whether you are making your coffee and getting ready to sit down and relax to prepare for all the errands that you might have to run this morning, or if you're out and about already, walking and getting in a little bit of that morning exercise, which we all like to talk about. And please comment on what your fitness journey might be, how you're doing, and if you're making any progress. Oopsie, sorry, folks, I'm dropping things. Or if you're making any progress on your fitness journey. I'd love to hear about it because I find that to be a lot of motivation when other people are talking about getting involved and getting fit and doing things. Now, this week, I did walk. Again, I like to walk about maybe 2 miles, 1 to 2 miles every other day. And we were very good at doing that. We were pretty successful. Now, I have to mention, we went for a walk, I believe it was Thursday. Oh, it was so hot. The temperature was, it had to be around 92, 93 degrees. And then we walked again on Friday. And believe it or not, Friday was just as hot. It was probably 95 degrees outside. So I caution each of you, if you are on a fitness journey, if you're working out outside, please be mindful of all of the safety precautions that you might need. Um, Shorten your workout if you need to. Make sure you have plenty of water. One of my co-walkers, one of my friends, when we went for a walk, they mentioned that they had left their water bottle in their car. And once we hit the 1 mile point, well, there's nothing for us to drink from or anything. There's no water where we were walking. And they knew they had to get back that next mile. And it was pretty interesting because what they talked about the entire time was how thirsty they were becoming. So we walked very quietly and we tried to stay in the shade, and we tried to keep ourselves from completely falling apart because the heat was getting up there. So I encourage each of you, please comment on any of your journeys. And of course, people who are doing yoga and Pilates, I would love to hear about it. I don't do too much of that myself, but I am totally interested. So anything you can do or tell me how that progress works, or if you're seeing any efforts pay out, please let me know. Now, as always, with being a newcomer to YouTube space and doing broadcast, I'm learning a little bit of how this kind of goes. I'm getting there, but I've got a long, long, long way to go. But some of my favorite YouTubers, especially in the Sussex realm, I mean, the professionalism that they have and the ability that they can put together a live product or a podcast, and it is absolutely flawless. I am in awe of the work they do. So I hope to one day get to that level and be able to produce products that people will look at and they will say, oh, well, that doesn't look too bad. But, we'll see where she goes with this. But anyway, you all get your coffee if that's what you're doing. Put your headphones in so that if you're walking, by the time I'm finished with this chit chat, you will probably have done maybe 1 or 2 miles already yourself. But definitely stay hydrated if you're outside. Okay, now after all the good mornings are done, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell too, so that if I'm coming online or if I'm putting something in community or dropping a post, that you'll see it or that you'll get a notification that it's out there. And yes, I have heard from many a person who is operating in YouTube that they definitely feel that some of their products are being let's say, manipulated, maybe downplayed, or they're not getting the feedback in the algorithms that they expect. And I can say the same for myself. At one point, I had a response to several videos that were in the hundreds. And trust me, I was absolutely shocked because I was trying to remember, what did I do on that video that made, the numbers go up like that? So I don't know if those were, what do they say, hidden numbers, hidden features that perhaps I didn't know about. But anyway, I've got a lot to learn about that, and it is pretty interesting. But I totally understand those who feel that their likes or their subscriptions, and in the cases of those who are very much monetized, that they are seeing reductions in the amount of money they may be earning. So just keep that in mind, and also remember, it doesn't harm you in general to support other people or for other people to be um, mentioned in support. I watch a number of channels. There are times when I can't watch them and I see them on the replay, but there are a number of channels that I like to subscribe to. I can't always what do you call it? Upload money or put funds behind the video, but I can always hit the like button. I really can, and I can always subscribe, and sometimes that helps. So just keep that in mind with these channels. All right, so here we are, folks. Let's take a moment, take a pause, and I would like to try to bring a few of my slides up where we're going to talk about what we have been seeing in the media over the past few days and how that is affecting all of our perspectives. Okay? So I hope that you all are ready and prepared for what is coming up, and that is Invictus Games. Invictus Games being held in Dusseldorf. My understanding is that they are set to take off around September 9th, I believe. 7th through the 9th or 9th through the 11th, something like that. Please get a chance, take a look, follow the programming. They are going to feed an online audience, I have heard, and they're going to do this through hellomagazine.com. I'm not really familiar with Hello Magazine, but it is apparent what they are saying is that they're going to stream some of the events on their website. So for those of you who are interested, take a look at hellomagazine.com because that is where they plan to stream the Invictus Games. Now, I hope that the product is going to be done well. I really do. When it comes to the actual magazine, Hello Magazine, in the past, they have printed articles that it might have given you a little bit of pause when it comes to attitudes or thoughts about how they feel towards the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. But we're going to see what that means or what that might translate into as they do this broadcast. So it'll be interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. I might be getting things confused. Hello Magazine might be streaming. I'm so sorry. We'll be streaming Well Child. I'm getting the two products confused. And Well Child, you see how confused I get? Well Child is going to be the award ceremony, I believe, that Harry will be attending in the UK. Okay, but anyway, you get the picture. You're going to get the picture. If you're interested in trying to look at any of that happening in real time, that will be one of the methods that they're going to do it. For Dusseldorf, I've got to find out a little bit more about that in the Invictus game. And I have a little bit more time, so hopefully I'll be able to put things like that up on my community channel. So we'll be looking forward to that. But anyway, those things are supposed to give us some feedback on how they will be presented and what's going to be going on. And Harry will be at both of those functions. Now, again, that's Well Child. Well Child is going to be happening in the UK. And I think the UK is going to have that award service on the 7th, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to try to double check all of my information, and then I'll try to put on the community page some of the specifics. But of course, I guarantee you, with the actual professional, with some of those pros on YouTube and the other Sussex channels, trust me, they definitely have the information out there, and we're can support in any way that we can. For those of us who might be traveling to Germany or traveling to the UK, oh, that would definitely be fantastic. If I had the opportunity this year to travel to Dusseldorf, I most certainly would, because that would be a fantastic event to at least even just watch from the sidelines, to participate in some of the things they're doing to support the men and women of the military who have sustained injuries. Having been in the military myself, I want to tell you that it is phenomenal, some of the things that these service members might endure in the service of their respective countries. Providing a military service to your country, even at the most minimal level, it definitely can change the trajectory of your life. I mean, some people are not cut off for the military. Trust me, it is not for everyone. But I have to say that when I was in service, I truly learned a great deal, not just about the service, but about myself and understanding work ethic. I learned a lot about um, trying to set your mind on a course to achieve something, and the fantastic pressure cooker in the military, which is the training, especially the initial training. It will definitely shift the way that you think about yourself, and it will shift the fact that you may believe at one, before you join the military, you may think you are not capable of reaching certain goals. But when you get through that process as a service member, that initial process, you will be reassured that if you want to achieve something that is difficult, if there is a goal in front of you and it is difficult, the process of basic training and many types of training in the military will show you that you are indeed capable of achieving that goal. So, when it comes to the military and the military service, for me, it has been a positive thing, a positive encouragement. So, for these members in the services who have been in the services and then have been wounded while in service, it is a definite shift in the way that they must go through life. They must think a little bit differently about what it is they want to do or pursue. And it is somewhat a difficult journey when they see themselves in a situation that they didn't feel they would ever be in. For many of these members of the service, the only thing that they thought they would be doing is serving in the military. So if they become wounded and then they feel that they can no longer serve, it can be devastating. It is life changing. So for Harry to embark upon a mission to try to support those who are in that particular circumstance, I must say, it is an outstanding challenge, and it is unbelievable that someone would reach out to attempt something so difficult. But I know what? I am totally in support of it. And I hope many of you are as well. So we're looking forward to the upcoming Invictus Games. So that's the fun news and the positive stories that are coming up. And we're all standing by and waiting for those. We're waiting for the fun stuff, right? Now, in the meantime, who are we dealing with? Who are we dealing with? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we're dealing with all of the mess that the UK media can instead throw at our wonderful couple. So now it's time for a little bit of Did You Notice? Let's talk about some of the stories in the media. And I want to see if you kind of have some of the same takes. Well, as you are aware, we're all pretty much aware that what these tabloids do, while Harry is moving through his life as usual, and while Meghan, of course, is, I'm sure, being homemaker of the year and mother of the year, she is taking care of home, making things like she wants them to be, and taking care of her children and feeding them the purest of food, because you can tell, her being at the farmer's market, that's what she does. But while she's doing all that, and while he's got to burn up the midnight oil flying all over the place to participate in all the things he's participating in, sent the Bali, the polo match, go home for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, turn around, come right back to the UK, then bounce out to Dusseldorf, Germany. I mean, he's moving. And then in January, don't forget, that court case is coming back. But anyway, he's got a packed schedule. But in the meantime, here's what our UK media appears to be doing. Right now, they are writing stories in every single direction negatively that they can. So we're back on They're Getting a Divorce, Part 7. They're getting a divorce. They're breaking up. She's without her ring. They're not getting blah, blah, blah. Now, they've heard this from friends of Meghan. Can anyone tell me who these friends of Meghan would be that would be talking to the media? Right, of course. So you know that's made up. So then we're going on about whether or not she's wearing her engagement ring or not wearing her engagement ring. This seems to cause an amount of buzz. Paparazzi photo of her going maybe from the car to a doctor's appointment, or from a doctor's appointment back to her car. A snapshot of a small photo. Oh, what has she got on? Is it cold enough for her to be wearing a coat? Why is she bundled up like that? Yada, 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 yada. Once again, the media is in every single direction, because what they want, and here is my media analysis, what they want more than anything is for Harry or Meghan to make a comment about what is written. And there are also YouTubers and people who are online on TikTok that are just throwing out any type of commentary about everything that is completely unsubstantiated, but they don't care, because Meghan and Harry are a cash product. And everyone who is anyone is trying to make a dollar off of them. Now, in a sense, the same could be said for someone like myself, right? I mean, I don't make any cash here, but in a sense, the same could be said about anyone who is going to utilize Harry and Meghan as a method of earning cash payment. And so that's what all of these particular entities do. And for now, it would appear that the funding, the money, for whatever reason, seems to roll in on the being negative front. It seems that you're able to get a little bit more support, I would say, financially in the negative clickbait arena, right? So you have YouTubers that are saying, well, they're not together, they're getting a divorce. He's traveling without Meghan. He doesn't want to be with Meghan, and yada, and all this. At the same time, Harry is getting ready to go to the UK for Well Child. So then the headlines start to read, the prince and the king, they're not going to meet. The prince and the king, they're not going to make up. Then you get the stories about, are they going to have a meeting? Are they going to get together? Are they going to make up or have a friendly conversation? Is Harry going to apologize? Again, I would say, is Harry going to apologize for what? So you've got that plethora of stories, because what they would like more than anything is for the palace to actually say, yes, we're reaching out to Harry and we've invited him, but they're not going to do that. And then likewise, Harry is not going to say, I'm trying to reach my father and I really wish I could talk to him. I don't think Harry's going to do that. Now, all of these things could be happening behind the scenes, but I just don't see that either of them would be admitting to it. And I don't think they would be putting that out in the media unless it was accurate, and especially Archwell. They're not going to make statements that are just arbitrary. Now, on the UK's front and on the UK media front, and perhaps even from elements in the palace working circles, they are going to throw out a lot of hunches and stories because they want the Sussex family to respond to them, right? So they'll throw out a story about an upcoming summit where they're going to maybe discuss the future of the monarchy. Will Harry be invited? They're going to throw that out there because they would love for Harry to respond that he would like to come or something like that. But they're hungry because Harry's not responding. So then they'll throw out the next tidbit, which is, oh, they're going to have a summit and everybody's going to be there, but Harry is not invited. Because again, they would like for someone to reply, well, Harry would make it possible in his schedule if he's invited. They want to know where he stands. They want to know how he feels about the nonsense that they have planned. Because here's what they really don't want to admit. Here's what they cannot abide. They really do not want to admit the fact that it's very possible that Harry has zero concern about what they are doing and could care less. That is what is terrifying to them. The fact that Harry might not ever make a statement at all about what is happening with the royal family. And that, I think, frightens them more than anything. And you can understand why. Because it unnerves them that they have made the biggest miscalculation in the era of the monarchy. Now, this is, okay, the biggest, but maybe the second biggest. First, they treated Diana like she was the problem. But that, of course, is what monarchs would do. Everyone is wrong except the monarch. So now they're doing the same thing, of course, with Harry and Meghan. The problem is that so many of us in the world, in the rest of the world, we can see that miscalculation. We can see what the miscalculation is. The only thing they had to do, and this is the really, truly saddest part, because I'm sure that there's probably a class, what I call a study. Like there's probably a book that these children read when they go to school, where they go to school. And there's probably something that they're all taught in those circles. And it probably begins with never admit you're wrong because you can't be wrong, right? I believe that this is probably what underpins their social structure. They are told that they can never be incorrect, that they can never be wrong. No matter what decision they make, they are the sovereign. Thus, the decision is the correct one, right? So no matter who is looking on at whatever is going on, they're going to just drive forward with their silly choices. Because the rest of us normal common folk, even though we begrudgingly hate to admit that we're wrong and we hate to apologize, we begrudgingly would say, you know what, this was a mistake and we need y'all back working, even if it's part-time. We need y'all to come out here every now and then and do a little tour, meet some people, talk to some folks, because they would love to see you. They would love to see us all kind of hold hands and get along. They really would. But they don't even know how to do that. They don't have any idea where to begin. They don't know how to say, I'm sorry. I mean, just understand Harry's ability to connect with people and to laugh and get along, even when he was young. Even in his youth, he was able to maneuver around other people in a positive way. And it's only, as he gets older, it is only getting better. I mean, everyone who watched him play polo with his friend his friend Nacho for the support of Centabali, a snapshot here and a snapshot there, and it looked like they were having the best time of their lives. And that is hard to transmit. But Harry is able to do it. He's capable. And it is phenomenal that he can do that. And I would love to see others do the same thing. And they could have all worked together to do that. But instead, what did they do? They created a situation, a very silly situation, in the way of having people think that they don't get along and that Harry and Meghan are horrible people. So that is what they're going to be dealing with. They're going to be dealing with that a lot. And I like to call out a comment I noticed, and it says, "The friends who live in their messed up heads." You see, you're absolutely correct, Yalibi. I hope I'm saying that correctly. They are so overwhelmed with what they want to think and believe. It hasn't occurred to them that this doesn't make any sense, that they're not making any sense. You know, they haven't even figured that out. And that is what is truly sad about them. And so we're watching how this is going to unfold. So here's what's coming up, right? He's got to make a pit stop for Well Child. And my guess is that it might go okay. Meanwhile, what we've been told, and this, I don't know if any of you had heard this before, but here's what we're hearing right now, is that, of course, because that period of time is also the anniversary period for the passing of the late Queen, right? Because that is also during that same period that the King and the Queen will actually be somewhere in Scotland or Balmoral at that time, but they will be basically conducting a very quiet and reverent remembrance of the passing of the late Queen. In other words, there won't be any big falderal memorial type event. So although Harry will be passing through kind of at that same time, there has been no announcement of everyone coming together and observing the late Queen's passing. Now, I don't know if you're aware, I found an article, I just passed by it rather quickly, where supposedly during this same period of time, Prince William and Princess Kate, however, will be in Wales. Now, weren't we told that Prince William was on vacation for 2 months? So is this being in Wales, is this also vacation? Or are they in Wales for some particular event? And if they are in Wales for some particular event, why would they be there if there's supposed to be a reverent and quiet memoriam for the late Queen in September at Balmoral? So I've got to follow up with that, because it just seems to me that there seems to be some sort of divergent story to let us know that when Prince Harry actually goes to the UK, they just want to make it clear that the king and Prince William are unavailable to talk to Prince Harry. And for the rest of us watching on the outside, have you heard Prince Harry talk about trying to meet up with Prince William and the king? I haven't. Prince Harry's schedule is tight. And I have not heard a word from Archwell or any of the publicists. I haven't heard a word of anybody saying, and maybe Harry could stop by and visit with his family. I've not seen that anywhere. I haven't heard it mentioned. But for whatever reason, the UK media, and here again, we have to kind of analyze what you're seeing. Once again, here we have to look at what the UK media keeps trying to throw out. They want to throw out one, that Harry's trying to get back to the UK so that he can talk with his family. He's trying his best to get back in good. And then they're throwing out at the same time that the family is unavailable. They're not going to be there. They're going to be in Scotland and they're going to be in Wales. They're not going to have time to talk to Harry. Okay. But from our point of view, all of us observing, we're not looking, we haven't seen Harry talking about trying to spend any time with them at all. He's only been featuring all of the type of things that he is a patron of. He's been featuring Santa Bali, so he flies over to Singapore. He's going to be featuring in Wellchild, and he's going to fly through the UK. And then he's going to be featuring in Invictus, and he's going to fly over to Dusseldorf. I've not heard any conversation whatsoever of, hey, I hope I can get together with my family. But I think this is, again, what the media would like to have, that narrative. They keep trying to have this narrative that Meghan and Harry are scrambling and want so badly to be in their good graces, when it's probably truer that the opposite is true, that the royal family is probably realizing that people are not really interested in who they are as a family, and was more interested in their, I guess, productivity and support of the nation, and how the nation tries to translate itself in these difficult times. But instead, they've got an entire bickering contest going on, and the UK media has done nothing but spread all over their tabloids, Meghan this and Meghan that. And they have not approached anything in their actual country that needs to be approached, any solutions or any resolutions. They're still not talking about the inflation levels in the UK. They're not handling the housing crisis in the UK. They've got nurses walking off the job in the UK. They've got a murder trial that they just wrapped up involving a young nurse in the UK. And yet you want to spread all over the tabloids what Meghan is doing and wearing, as if the UK is not handling or working through some extraordinarily serious issues. When you flip through those channels of tabloid news, there are people sitting there cackling and grinning and laughing and hee and ha about Meghan, when what's happening in the UK is structural and very serious. But they're trying to divert everyone's attention to what is Meghan wearing and things like that. So in that analysis, I want all of us, again, to really pay attention to the type of garbage that's being thrown out there, because it's nothing but garbage. Now, I also want to start to wrap up here, because I don't want to keep you all day. And like I said, I know you all have lots of errands and things to run. So once again, I'm going to remind everyone, please like, please share and subscribe. And please feel free to leave a comment below. If I don't get a chance to see your comment right away, I will definitely try to look at your comment later on and make comments myself. I just love reading the comments. It's so fun. Also, if you'd like and subscribe and share, and as I build my numbers up and start to get this thing rolling and I get better, I might then start doing more comprehensive videos, and I'm going to be working on those things. So please like, please subscribe, and please tell some other folks to come in and listen in. Now, don't forget, Over here, we always want to know what you're doing on your fitness journey. So when you comment, make sure you let us know if you're getting the walking miles in or the walking steps, if you're doing yoga and Pilates, because I want to hear about it because I need the encouragement myself. Now, to wrap some of this up, lastly, I want you all to understand, here's what I have not forgotten. We have not forgotten any of the nastiness that came from Dan the Man Wooten. Oh no, he is not forgotten. I want you all to realize that I have not forgotten about Dan Wooten. Okay. Now, Byline, the newspaper that originally broke the story about Dan, they haven't put out much new information. Okay. They haven't been saying a lot of new things. But the last thing that was wrapped up in the storyline is Dan Wooten is basically laying low and keeping quiet, and he's still on his television shows. Also, there's been talk that they're trying to bring that nasty talking Jeremy Clarkson back on television as well. So whatever he comes on TV to do, I hope he gets scourged right on out of business. But hey, who knows? He might show back up. But Dan Wooten, he's talking a little slower, but he's still doing his dirt. He's talking a little quieter, but he's still doing his dirt. And I believe the Sussex squad overall, I think somehow they terrified him because he was probably unaware of how much dirt they could dig up from the public sphere on him. So what's happening though in the background, because just like I know you all are aware with the prince, at the time that Charles was the prince, when they were talking about him accepting money in exchange for offering people awards or peerages or things like that from the British monarchy. But they closed that case out. They don't want to talk about that now because he's king. They know there's nothing they can do about it. So that's kind of going to go under the rug. And then with Dan Wooten and whatever nonsense he's involved in, and whomever he might have been blackmailing along the way, they want to make sure that that goes under the rug. Because there is no telling how many people Dan Wooten and his underhanded blackmailing dealings will expose. There is no telling. But I have a feeling it's going to creep out anyway. So they're pushing that off the back burner, and they don't want anyone to talk about that. Every time that they mention it, the storyline is they're investigating. Okay. So they're just investigating, which means that they'll hold on to it, say very little about it, and then maybe, as far as they're concerned, it'll go away. Now, let's add to that fact that we just had arrested about 6 metropolitan police officers in the UK who were harsh and cruel to a number of people, migrants included. But it was specifically mentioned that they also had negative commentary about Harry and Meghan. So that lets you know how tied together all of these hate crowds are, how intertwined they are with the Met Police, the UK media, and the royal family, how all of these things are circling around, and there are people in each of these groups that keep these negative things stirred up. So it's very slow for the UK people and for people outside of the UK to get that independent commentary, which might come online. But of course, even online, they are trying to squash and drown out the positive commentary about Harry and Meghan. So just keep your eyes on how this is working. And in what I've been doing, or what I've been saying, is that whenever I do see something that I think I need to comment on, I make a positive comment, only 2 or 3, and I notice that generally there is no response to the comment. So in my theory, most of what you're seeing online when it comes to negative commentary, for me, it's opportunists or people who are actually bought and paid for, you know, if they're not, in fact, bots and trolls, but they're doing little things here and there to try and keep the noise in the background so that you don't think Harry and Meghan have any support. But they have a great deal of support. And thankfully, their support is coming from a group of people who are generally very positive, very supportive, and we believe in supporting righteous causes. At least I know I am. I most definitely feel that way. So I wanted to let you know we're not going to forget Dan. So we're going to continue to comb our sources and look for stories about Dan. But one thing I did want to note, if you didn't know, there was the young man who was, I believe, the boyfriend of Carolyn Flack. I think he was one of the personalities that had been on Dan's case. And he was actually arrested for harassing Dan. And I found that interesting. He's supposed to serve about 4 months in jail or community service in the UK because he was harassing Dan. Now, I think his name is, I'm not sure if that's Truby. I think it is Truby. But I think that it's amazing that he would actually be arrested for harassment. But Dan can harass people on a public platform, on an open platform. He can harass people all day, and no one makes any kind of commentary. And the legal people or the police department or the lawyers, they say that, oh, what he does is quite all right. Isn't that amazing? I think that is phenomenal. He can just ruin people's lives, and that's okay. But a person who actually threatens Dan, now the police descend and arrest that gentleman. It's amazing, isn't it? So listen up. I want to thank each and every one of you who had the opportunity to come and join me on this live. I am so glad that you were able to get out here and participate. And for those of you who are, like I said, doing your workouts and keeping your fitness goals, that is fantastic. We have to encourage each other because I've got to put in a few more steps. I did ride my bike this morning, so I think I've got to do a few more steps this afternoon. And remember, what we're doing here is supporting Harry and Meghan and just basically good people who are doing good things. I know that I am all about it. So I was about to wrap up, but lastly, I wanted to mention one more thing that came up, and I am hoping that I can look into it a little bit more in depth. But it appears that there was this is just offside. It appears that there was a home secretary in the UK that actually sent an email to the royal firm to have a question about security. And the question was something to the effect of, should the security, I think, for Prince Andrew be reduced? And it was something to the effect that whatever the decision that was made to reduce Harry's security while in the UK, should it be the same for Prince Andrew? It was something like that. And the Home Secretary asked this question. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. The person who asked this question is their position is what was referenced in Harry's court case. And the reference in their position was that they are the ones that would have made these decisions. Yet this person was emailing the royal firm with some questions in regards to security. And so that person, they got caught up in a situation where that email made it into the public arena, and that made it look like the people who handle the security at the royal family or the royal firm were actually calling the shots and making the decisions about what happened with Prince Harry's security. So here's the problem. And I know you all are thinking, what are you saying? What does it mean? Okay, there'll be more to come about this, maybe. Of course, they may just squash it overall. But what I'm getting at is this. Harry's court case was about the fact that he wanted to pay for his own security. And he was told, oh, we really can't tell you how much it's going to cost. Oh, we really can't tell you all the details of the security. And we just don't do that. And who do you think you are, thinking you could just pay for security? Our police officers aren't just guns for hire. Who do you think you are? Oh, okay. So what happens is this. That is what was happening in the court case, right? Well, now you've got this email that got leaked about the Home Secretary asking a question about the security, which makes it look as if the royal firm basically were calling the shots about removing Harry's security in the first place. In other words, it was driven, how it was done, and whether or not he could maneuver around it or pay for his own. All of that was blocked basically by the royal firm. But the royal firm was saying they didn't make those decisions, that those decisions were made at a higher level, and that he needed to go through the Home Secretary, right? Okay, so in other words, what you're seeing, and I don't know why this came upon my mind just at the last minute, but listen, but what you're seeing is that they've basically been caught in a very odd place. There's a set of lies going on because all of the people who were involved in putting out these decisions and making these things happen, all of these people work for who? Okay, yes, they work for Prince Charles, King Charles, now King Charles, and they work for Prince William. But yet it was said and stated originally that all of those decisions and everything had to go through like the National Police Force and Scotland Yard and all this other stuff. So that's why Harry was filing a lawsuit, a petition. Okay. But so here we are again. Now, I'm sure they're going to try to put this on the back burner, but that's another piece of information, another article that if you get a chance, try to look into that, try to follow that a little bit. And I'm sure that there are other squaddies that are really digging into that deeply. But I just wanted to mention it here because, again, I like to analyze what I'm seeing in the media and what I think their goal is. And right now, their goal in putting out most of the foolish garbage that they're putting out is that they're hoping for a response. And then when they get that response, or if they get that feedback, then they think they know which way to go, right? And they're hoping that they can figure out a maneuver or a direction to go into when dealing with Harry and Meghan, because they want Harry and Meghan to actually want to be back in the royal family, when it would have been just as easy for them to say, come on back, we apologize. But you see, they can't do that, right? And then, so with that going on, then lastly, I know you all, this is fantastic. I know you all heard about the nonsense with these folks wanting to have some kind of a bus tour going to Montecito for some reason to try to gather up around Meghan and Harry's house and protest, I don't know, or demonstrate, or just, I don't know, point and laugh. I'm not sure what in the world they thought they were going to do. And then on a side note, because they're all crazy. Let's understand this. Because the people who started this nonsense on a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel were going to get together and they're going to go and ride up to Montecito, ha ha ha. They thought that was funny, and then they realized that people were coming back to them and saying, yeah, go ahead and do that and you'll probably go to jail. Then they came back with, oh, they were kidding. And then lastly, one of the knuckleheads in the crowd decided he was going to book a tour and actually charge people something like $900 to $1,500. But he said it was going to be a tour of the movie stars. Well, the movie stars that live in Los Angeles, that's not Montecito. But anyway, that's what he was going to include, Montecito. And he used Thomas Markle's name and said, well, Thomas Markle, Meghan's father, he was okay with it. Oh my gosh, guys, please get a chance. You got to watch this nonsense, because who shows up on Dan Wooten's show to argue against that? Scamantha Markle shows up on Dan Wooten to talk about the fact that Tom Markle had nothing to do with that. Guys, you know what? I can't even get into that comedy. We'll have to do a whole show on that because it was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. We'll have to do a whole show. Anyway, but look, I'm so sorry. I'm keeping you all over time. But I want to thank you again, once again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry to keep you so long. All right, guys, get out there and get on your errands because I know you got a lot to do today. And let's get ready for Invictus. Invictus is coming up, and I heard Nigeria will be there. So we're going to see how that goes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you a million. Thanks so much. And I am so excited to have spent my morning with you, and I hope to see all of you next Saturday as well, as we maybe analyze another chunk of nonsense that we find out about from these crazy people. Because they are whack jobs. Thank you so much. Take care.